This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. We're coming to you live from Manila and Thailand. Hello, Gila.
Yes, hello, Alma. Good afternoon. I'm Sheila Pablo, bringing you the latest news and the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headline, Tropical Depression Lani will bring rains over many areas today.
A COVID-19 vaccination drive targeting more than 5.04 million students nationwide kicks off on Monday.
Over 1 million jobs have been created in the economy since the pandemic began, according to data released by the National Economic Development Authority.
And in this video, we'll find out how digital innovation enhances #ASEAN connectivity to capture new growth opportunities.
First, here in the country, Tropical Depression Lani will bring rains over many areas today. That according to Pag-asa. Chris Perez of the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services or Administration or Pag-asa said Lani was last seen 100 kilometers east of Surigao City. The tropical depression packs maximum sustained winds of 45 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 55 kilometers per hour. Because of this strength, tropical cyclone wind signal or signal number 1 has been raised over several areas. And based on Pag-asa's 5 a.m. weather bulletin, these areas are the southern portion of Masbate, the southern portion of Romblon, the southern portion of Oriental Mindoro, and the northern portion of Palawan, including Calamian and Puyo Islands. Now, signal number 1 has also been hoisted over eastern Samar, Biliran, Leyte, southern Leyte, Capiz, Aklan, Antique, Iloilo, Guimaras, Negros Occidental, the northern and central portions of Negros Oriental, Cebu, and Bohol. Also under signal number 1 are Surigao del Norte, Dinagat Islands, the northern portion of Agusan del Norte, the northern portion of Agusan del Sur, and the northern portion of Surigao del Sur.
The country has recorded 45,249 new COVID-19 recoveries, bringing the recovery count to 2,442,623 as of Sunday. The Department of Health, or DOH, said the figure is equivalent to a 94.2% recovery rate from a total of 2,593,399 infections since the start of the pandemic last year. The DOH also tallied 13,273 new confirmed cases, bringing the total number of active cases in the country to 112,008, or 4.3% of all cases. Of the active cases, 85.2% are mild, 6.1% are asymptomatic, 2.5% are severe, 4.58% are moderate, and 1.1% are in critical condition. Also logged were 112 new fatalities, raising the death toll to 38,768, or 1.49% of the total cases.
As active coronavirus disease or COVID-19 decrease, the cases, The vaccination rate will go up as there will be less need for healthcare workers in treatment facilities. Take a look. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 noted the decrease by as much as 12,000 in the average daily vaccination rate last month due to a surge in cases. During the last 7 days, 347,952 doses were administered, as against 359,982 on September 26. In previous weeks, NTF Chief Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. said some vaccinators had to be moved to medical facilities to attend to positive cases. On September 27, the Department of Health reported an average of 4,347 new infections the previous week, down from about 5,145 during the earlier periods. As of Sunday, the Philippines has already received 77,410,040 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine, with 46,251,087 doses administered nationwide. A total of 21,737,744 Filipinos are already fully protected, while 24,513,343 are waiting for the second dose.
A COVID-19 vaccination drive targeting more than 5.04 million students nationwide kicks off on Monday in preparation for the new school term, which is scheduled to begin in November, as many schools across the country are expecting to resume on-site learning. Let's hear more details from Veronica Carino, our EBC correspondent from Thailand.
Hello, good afternoon, Gila, and to all of our viewers. Yes, Thailand aims to vaccinate 5.04 million students in preparation to on-site learning on November. The Education Ministry now intends to fully vaccinate students aged 12 to 18 with the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine, which has been approved by the Food and Drug Administration for the use on children as young as 12 years old. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha will preside over a ceremony to mark the start of the vaccination drive on Monday at Thibon Upatham School in Bangkok's Wat Kwang district. Before expanding the drive to other parts of the country, the ministry will first vaccinate students in the 29 provinces designated as dark red. Following a report of such case in the United States, it is considering giving boys only one shot due to concerns about a rare form of heart inflammation. So far, only one case has been reported in Thailand involving a 13-year-old boy who is currently being treated in a hospital. According to the ministry's survey, more than 90% of parents nationwide are willing to allow their children to be vaccinated. According to Permanent Secretary Supatham Jampatong, to date, 33,047 students, or 88.2% of students in Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, or BMA schools, have signed up for the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. The ministry announced last week a two-phase plan to reopen schools with strict COVID-19 measures. Boarding schools that have already taken steps to prevent COVID-19 transmission on their grounds since August will be allowed to reopen in the first phase. In the second phase, schools that have passed an inspection to ensure that their facility are ready to reopen under pandemic restrictions will be given the go-ahead to do so. According to the ministry, assessments will be given this month. To pass the assessment, school must have at least 85% of their teachers and staff vaccinated against COVID-19. In addition, schools must demonstrate their ability to strictly adhere to the government's COVID-19 control measure to ensure students and staff safety, according to the ministry. These schools, on the other hand, will be able to choose whether to fully transition to on-site learning, continue with online learning, or combination of the two. The maximum number of students per classroom in the case of on-site learning will be limited to 25. While in the room, each student must keep at least 1.5 meters away from the others. According to a Suwan Dusit Rajabat University opinion poll, also known as the Suwan Dusit poll, the majority of people support the Education Ministry policy of giving COVID-19 vaccine to students aged 12 and up. The survey was conducted online between September 27 and September 30 among 1,089 people with children in schools across the country. 75.4% of the respondents supported the policy, while 24.5% opposed it. Approximately 61% said they will allow their children to be vaccinated, while 26.17% said they would rather wait, and approximately 12% said they would reject the plan. When asked about their concerns about inoculation or inoculating children aged 12 to 17, 77.6% expressed concern about side effects, 69.4% expressed concern about long-term side effects, and 62% wondered who would bear the responsibility for any unusual side effects. Separately, the Central Vaccination Center at Bangsu District or Bangsu Grand Station urged anyone who has yet to receive their first dose of COVID-19 vaccine to register on its Facebook page yesterday. According to the announcement, registrants will receive the Sinovac vaccine as the first dose or first shot and the AstraZeneca jab as the second, 21 days apart in the new vaccination campaign. According to the announcement, those who have already received 2 doses of the Sinovac vaccine are encouraged to register on an AstraZeneca booster shot. Thailand has administered 55.10 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines since February 28, with 30.81% of the population receiving 2 doses, according to the Ministry of Public Health. According to the ministry, approximately 32.9 million people, or approximately 49.11% of the population, have had 1 shot. This update is from Bangkok Post. Back to you, Gila.
Thank you so much, Veronica, for that update. You stay safe always.
Thank you. And likewise, reporting live from Thailand, I am Veronica Carino, and we live in interesting times.
In other news, Cambodia and the UAE have concluded the first round of talks on a double taxation agreement, or DTA, agreeing on most of the draft articles. Take a look. DTAs are designed to divide the right of taxation between the contracting countries, abolish and discourage incidents of double taxation, prevent tax evasion and avoidance, promote clarity and transparency, guarantee taxpayers equal rights and security, and stimulate bilateral investment and trade. The talks were held virtually from September 27 to the 29th, where the Cambodian delegation led by General Department of Taxation Deputy Directors General Ban Nieri and Rat Moni and its Emirati counterpart by Abdallah Al Obaidli, Director of the Ministry of Economy's Department of International Financial Relations and Organization. Both sides agreed to hold a second round as soon as possible to address the remaining points of contention and vowed to push for the DTA to enter into force at the earliest possible date. At an earlier meeting with the UAE Minister of State for International Cooperation, Reem Al-Hashimi, Cambodian Minister of Commerce, Pan Sorosa highlighted agriculture, tourism, industry, and infrastructure as potential investment opportunities for Emirati investors looking to expand into the kingdom.
Fully vaccinated travelers from any country can now book holidays to tourism haven Phuket. The Thai government has announced under tweaks to a struggling quarantine pre-travel scheme. Thailand's tourism industry has been on its knees with the coronavirus pandemic and related restrictions, slashing visitor numbers from 40 million in 2019 to a mere trickle over the last 2 years. Pre-virus, the sector made up a fifth of Thailand's national income, and the travel curbs have fed into the country's worst economic performance in more than 2 decades. The kingdom launched a sandbox scheme in July, which allowed fully vaccinated travelers from countries considered low to medium risk to roam free on the popular beach island for a fortnight and then afterwards travel to the mainland without quarantine. Last week, authorities cut the required stay to a week in line with national changes to quarantine rules. The Tourism Authority of Thailand announced late Friday that the scheme had been broadened from the around 80 countries already eligible. I quote, "This means Thailand is now welcoming travelers from any country in the world to the Sandbox program," it said in a statement. Foreign Ministry spokesman Tani Sangrat said unvaccinated children would be able to travel with their vaccinated parents. The Sandbox program has already lured more than 38,000 visitors to the white sands of Phuket and generated $66.67 million US.
Ho Chi Minh City on Friday lifted a stay-at-home order that had kept its 9 million residents indoors for 3 months and devastated businesses in Vietnam's economic hub. To curb a fast-spreading wave of COVID-19, which struck the southern metropolis particularly hard, residents have been unable to leave home even for food, and almost all travel in and out of the area was suspended. Almost half of Vietnam's total 790,000 virus cases were reported in the city, along with 3/4 of the country's deaths. But after a gradual fall in cases, soldiers began dismantling road barriers on Friday and removing hundreds of checkpoints that had separated city districts. Vietnam was once hailed as a model for virus containment, but the country struggled to stop the spread of a fourth wave of infection that began in April in northern industrial parks and quickly traveled south. More than a third of Vietnam's 100 million people were under stay-at-home orders this summer, bringing the country's important manufacturing industry to its knees and breaking supply chains.
The United States announced Friday it is sending more than 8 million COVID-19 vaccine doses to Bangladesh and the Philippines in the latest wave of aid to a world still struggling to tame the pandemic. 5 shipments totaling 5,575,050 doses will go to the Philippines by next week, a White House official told AFP, speaking on condition of anonymity. The official also said another 2,508,480 doses will arrive early next week in Bangladesh. The vaccines, all Pfizer-BioNTech, are being donated through the World Health Organization's COVAX program. The administration understands that putting an end to this pandemic requires eliminating it around the world, end of quote, from an official, noting that U.S. donations represent the largest ever purchase and donation of vaccines by a single country.
President Duterte caught not a few by surprise on Saturday when he announced his retirement from politics after he steps down from office in June next year. The president made the pronouncement when he accompanied Senator Christopher Bongo, his former longtime aide, who filed his certificate of candidacy for vice president under the Partido Demokratiko Pilipino Lakas ng Bayan, or PDP Laban. President Duterte said the universal sentiment of the Filipino has been reflected in the different surveys and in many forums, caucuses, and meetings to discuss what he should do in his life. Take a look.
And today, I announce my retirement from politics. The overwhelming judgment of the Filipino is that I am not qualified and it would be a violation of the Constitution to circumvent the law, the spirit of the Constitution.
Now, he was referring to the June 23 to 26 polls conducted by the social weather stations, which showed that 60% of 1,200 adult Filipinos believe that his vice presidential run could violate the intention of the Constitution, which should be amended first before he may run for office again. The survey result disclosed that only 39% chose Duterte as their vice presidential candidate because they want his management of the government to continue. The president expressed gratitude to the Filipino people for trusting him to lead the country for 6 years. And the news continues here on ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back.
Araw-araw sa panahon ngayon, may daming tanong kailangan ng tugon. Nandito si Ali at si Papi na rin, ang smart at pretty nanay, ang siglaban ng kwentuhan. Ang sigaw ng Pinoy Nation, information, education. Atin sa loobin, ipakita natin ang nagsagot sa problema natin. Ano sa palagay nyo? Ano sa palagay nyo? Ano sa palagay nyo?
Kumanta, sumaya tayong lahat. Saya-saya.
Tropical cyclone o bagyo. Ang bagyo ay isang uri ng lagay na panahon na nagdudulot ng malalakas at mabibilis na hangin at pag-ulan na maaaring maging sanhi ng matitinding pagbaha, daluyong ng dagat at pag-uho ng lupa. Narito ang mga dapat gawin bago dumating ang bagyo. Una, alamin ang balita ukol sa panahon at mga anunsyong pangkaligtasan. Alamin ang plano ng komunidad sa pagbibigay babala at paglikas. Suriin ang bahay at kumpunihin ang mga mahina at sirang bahagi. Ihanda ang go bag na naglalaman ng mga pangangailangan ng pamilya. Ilikas ang mga alagang hayop sa ligtas na lugar. Kapag inabisuhan ang kinauukulan, mabilis na lumikas sa itinakdang evacuation center. Narito naman ang mga dapat gawin habang may bagyo. Una, maging mahinahon. Manatili sa loob ng bahay o evacuation center at makinig sa pinakabagong balita at taya ng panahon. Patayin ang main switch ng kuryente at valve ng tubig. Gumamit ng flashlight o emergency lamp. Maging maingat sa paggamit ng kandila o gasera. Umiwas sa mga salaming bintana. Ito naman ang dapat gawin pagkatapos ng bagyo. Hintayin ang abiso ng kinauukulan na ligtas ng bumalik sa tahanan. Umiwas sa mga natumbang puno, nasirang gusali at linya ng kuryente. Huwag gumala upang hindi maabala ang mga emergency services. Siguraduhing walang basa o nakababad na outlet o kagamitan bago buksan ang linya ng kuryente. Itapon ang mga naipong tubig sa lata, paso at gulong upang hindi pamahayan ng lamok.
Welcome back to ASEAN in Focus. General Motors reported a sharp drop in third quarter U.S. sales on Friday as the global semiconductor crunch depletes dealerships of auto supply amid still strong consumer demand. The big U.S. automaker described auto inventories as historically low after months of limited semiconductor supply, which has led to manufacturing outages and cuts throughout its plant network. GM reported third quarter sales of 446,997 in the United States, down almost a third from the year-ago period. In the most recent quarter, the chip shortage was exacerbated by a surge in COVID-19 cases in Malaysia, which is home to key semiconductor capacity.
Seven people were killed in a landslide triggered by torrential storms on the Indonesian island of Sumatra, according to authorities. As they warned, continuing rainfall could cause further ground movement. Now, a day after the landslide hit two adjacent houses in Padang, Pariaman district on Wednesday, 7 bodies were pulled out of the mud, while another person was rescued alive with broken bones. All victims have been found after we were able to use heavy equipment. That Friday afternoon, according to local disaster mitigation agency official Rumay Nur, who, like many Indonesians, has only one name. Now, authorities warned residents to stay vigilant because heavy rains in the area will continue. Now, more than 300 houses and 80 hectares of rice field in Padang Pariaman have been inundated. Strong winds also damaged houses, kiosks, and vehicles and knocked down trees. One person died and 4 others were injured when one fell on them as they were visiting a graveyard on Wednesday. Local authorities have announced a state of emergency for 14 days and opened public kitchens.
Over 1 million jobs have been created in the economy since the pandemic began, according to data released by the National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA. In a televised palace briefing on Thursday, Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Carl Kendrick T. Chua said the net employment creation of the country reached 1.7 million between January 2020 and August 2021. Let's listen to it.
Tignan po natin ang latest data from the Philippine Statistics Authority on unemployment. Ang unemployment rate natin last year, kita niyo po yung red, ay napakataas, yung 17.6%, tapos 10% unemployment. Pero in 2021, naibaba natin ito to as low as 6.9% sa July. Pero expectedly, umakyat po ito sa 8.1% kasi sa August, bumalik po tayo sa ECQ. Pero yan ay kailangan para makontrol natin ang spread ng Delta variant. Ngayon, punta po tayo ngayon sa underemployment, yung mga may trabaho pero sa tingin nila ay kulang yung kanilang sweldo. Umakyat man ito sa 20.9% sa July, pero ito ay triggered by yung weather disturbance sa agriculture. Sa August naman, yung gumanda po yung panahon, bumalik naman po yung mga trabaho sa agriculture. At naipaba natin ang underemployment rate natin to 14.7%. Ito ay mas mababa pa sa recent months na nakikita natin yung nag-normalize na yung ating ekonomiya. Ngayon, in terms of job creation, nakikita po natin na nakasalalay ito sa degree or restrictiveness ng ating quarantine. Halimbawa, yung January 2020, yung naka-color green, yung wala pang ECQ, malaki po yung ating employment, 42.5 million. Pero yung pumasok na yung April 2020, naka-red, kasi ECQ yan, bumaba po yung ating employment by 8.7 million. At tuwing humihigpit tayo sa July 2020, sa April 2021, at sa July-August, ay bumababa yung ating employment. Pero tuwing nagluluwang tayo, yung naka-yellow na GCQ or MGCQ, ay bumabalik naman yung ating employment. Ginagawa po natin itong monthly survey ng labor force para yung ating policy ay mas timely. So far, nakita po natin na yung net employment creation natin since January 2020 up to August 2021, positive 1.7 million jobs yung na ibalik natin sa ating ekonomiya.
Based on preliminary results of the labor force survey for August, the unemployment rate was at 8.1%, the highest since the 8.7% posted in April 2021. Underemployed Filipinos decreased by 2.21 million to 6.48 million in August 2021 from 8.69 million in July 2021. However, this was still higher by 0.07 million from the 6.41 million posted in June 2021. PSA put underemployment rate in August at 14.7%, slower than the 20.9% posted in July 2021. However, it was higher than the 14.2% posted in June 2021. More Filipinos participated in the labor force in August. PSA said the Philippine labor force increased by 3.38 million to 48.12 million in August from 44.74 million in July 2021.
The Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, Santiago Salahuddin Uno, said that Indonesia's batik industry has driven the community's economy by absorbing more than 200,000 workers. Take a look. Now, batik industry can absorb more than 200,000 workers in more than 47,000 business units spread across 101 batik industry centers. That, according to Uno, in the webinar on improving the quality of batik to commemorate the National Batik Day, monitored online in Yogyakarta last Saturday. The minister said that batik has been developed from a traditional art to become a modern art. There are more than 5,849 Indonesian batik motifs from Aceh to Papua, and batik has also reached in a variety of colors, designs, and ways to draw the cloth with spouted canting. As it is increasingly worn in everyday life, according to him, batik is one of the sources of people's income that drives the community's economy.
The government has issued Directive number 27/CT-TTG on restoration of industrial production as the COVID-19 pandemic has been gradually put under control. Under the directive, provincial, municipal people's committees shall coordinate closely with enterprises to decide on plans for production and circulation of goods, ensuring absolute safety amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Provincial municipal people's committees shall promptly establish steering committees responsible for approving production plans submitted by enterprises, coordinate with the Ministry of Health to timely inoculate vaccines to industrial workers, adopt guidelines for movement of people between localities. The Ministry of Health was asked to issue regulations on social distancing and COVID-19 testing to be applied at enterprises, as well as guidelines for enterprises to follow if a worker is infected with the virus. The Ministry of Transport was assigned to instruct localities in ensuring circulation of goods, while the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was tasked to collaborate with the Ministry of Public Security and relevant agencies in facilitating the entry of foreign experts and skilled workers.
Meanwhile, Vietnam's economy suffered its heaviest contraction on record in the third quarter. That, according to officials, after a devastating wave of COVID-19 forced the widespread suspension of manufacturing in the export-reliant country. Gross domestic product, or GDP, shrunk 6.17% on year in the July-September period, with the General Statistics Office, or GSO, saying it was the sharpest since the Southeast Asian began recording quarterly figures reportedly in 1986. Vietnam was last year among the best performing economies in Asia and one of the few in the world to expand after it kept virus numbers low and businesses largely open. But the latest coronavirus wave, which began in April in its northern industrial parks and rapidly spread south to business hub Ho Chi Minh City, caused a serious impact to the economy, according to the GSO. State-run news outlet VN Express said it was the first time Vietnam had recorded negative quarterly growth since 2000. A third of the country's 100 million population faced stay-at-home order for months this summer, with factories closed and supply chains seriously disrupted.
A total of 7,322 Filipinos have reached the age of 100 years old have already received their one-time 100,000 Philippine pesos cash award from the national government since the passage of Republic Act 10868 or the Centenarian Act of 2016. Ana Kalusugan Party List Representative Michael Defensor said on Sunday. I quote, "We in Congress are absolutely committed to sustain the funding for the 100,000 cash Philippine pesos gift of all Filipinos who reach the age of 100 years old, whether residing in the Philippines or abroad," end of quote. Defensor made the statement on National Respect for Centenarians Day, which the nation observes every first Sunday of October under the Centenarians Law or Republic Act number 10868. Defensor said the 135.8 million pesos is lodged in the budget of the Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD, which hands out the cash grant.
Staying in the country, in other news, a magnitude 5.6 earthquake struck Sablayan Occidental, Mindoro early Sunday, that according to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology or PHIVOLCS. In its bulletin, PHIVOLCS said the tremor occurred at 5:59 a.m. with its epicenter traced at 10 kilometers northwest of Sablayan. It was tectonic, which indicated a movement in the Earth's crust and had a depth of 10 kilometers. Intensity 3 was also felt in Santa Cruz and intensity 2 in Magsaysay, Occidental Mindoro, and Pinamalayan, Oriental Mindoro. On the other hand, the PHIVOLCS instruments measured the tremor at intensity 3 in San Jose, Occidental Mindoro, intensity 2 in Batangas City, and intensity 1 in Mulanay and Mabuan, Quezon, and Tagaytay City, Cavite. The PHIVOLCS has so far recorded at least 31 aftershocks, range from 1.6 to 4.6. On September 27, the PHIVOLCS recorded a 5.7 magnitude quake that also jolted Looc, Occidental Mindoro, and was felt in various areas, including in the provinces of Batangas, Cavite, Rizal, and Metro Manila.
Meanwhile, Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel III played down on Sunday moves to expel Senator Manny Pacquiao from the ruling PDP Laban Party for filing his candidacy under the PROMD party, one of the two parties with which the PDP Laban has formed an alliance. I quote, "So easy to explain," said Pimentel III, noting that Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi and Melvin Matibag, both of the Cusi wing, do not know the facts. The senator pointed out that there is a PDP Laban PROMD PCM Alliance agreement called MP3 Alliance, where the alliance partners also proclaimed Manny Pacquiao as their presidential candidate. He added that the PDP Laban National Executive Committee earlier issued resolution number 12 allowing Pacquiao to use from the CONA or Certification of Nomination and Acceptance in order to consolidate its support base in alliance partners because Pacquiao is already known and identified with PDP Laban. Moreover, Pimentel III recalled that Pacquiao was officially nominated and proclaimed as a presidential candidate also by PROMD in their National Assembly. Pimentel said, I quote, "The issue being propagated by Cusi and Matibag is a figment of their imagination which they want to use for their own political propaganda," end of quote. Stay for more news. We'll be back after this break.
Mapupuno ng saya, impormasyon at inspirasyon ang hapon mo sa Afternoon Power. Handog sa inyo ng Net25. Sasabay sa inyong tanghalian ang inyong Happy Time Barkada at 12 noon. Alamin ang mga pangyayari sa ASEAN nations, ASEAN in Focus at 2 p.m. Ang inyong paboritong awit komentaryo kasama si Leo Obligar sa Piskante ng Bayan. At mga balita sa iba't ibang panig ng bansa hatid sa atin sa Aguila Probinsya. Siksik ang hapon mo mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes ang inyong Afternoon Power sa Net 25.
Welcome back to ASEAN in Focus. The reports identified legislative and regulatory issues in the ASEAN bloc's logistics services sector that would hinder it from reaching its full potential. Here it is. The reports provided robust, pragmatic, non-binding policy recommendations to ASEAN governments to help the industry boost overall growth and expedite its recovery from the negative economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Take a look.
We looked at more than Hello, and welcome to this short presentation of this project on fostering competition in ASEAN. I'm Ruben Maximiano, a senior competition expert at the OECD. The OECD, in cooperation with the ASEAN Secretariat, has spent the past 3 years working on this major competition initiative, which has been focused on the competition assessment of ASEAN's logistics industry. During that time, we've been working closely together with our colleagues at all 10 ASEAN competition authorities, as well as other branches of government. Our aim has been to improve logistics and transportation, the lifeblood of trade in this hugely important part of the global economy. We know that trade promotes economic growth, and that growth leads to greater prosperity for all, because efficient trade helps to reduce prices, and that puts more money in people's pockets to buy the products they need. But that can happen only if markets are working well, and that's the understanding from which our work on fostering competition in ASEAN began. With funding from the UK government, we studied ASEAN's logistics markets. We looked at more than 700 laws and regulations in those markets, and we came up with a wide range of recommendations to make those markets work better. At the heart of all of our work is leveling the playing field, creating fair markets where efficiency is encouraged. A level playing field is important even in the best of times, but now, as ASEAN and the rest of the world grapple with the COVID pandemic, it's more important than ever. This region, like many others, needs a fast recovery, and that means encouraging and ensuring policies are in place to promote competition in the region's logistics industry. In other words, helping businesses get their goods to market, removing expensive inefficiencies, obstacles and monopolies, and getting economies moving again. This is where competition policy becomes part of the fight back against the crisis and its economic impact. A crisis can present us with a chance to change, to do things differently, because in the hardest of times we have to think differently, to seize the opportunity. And right now, the opportunity is clear. And it's not a big-ticket, expensive scheme involving more roads and more railways. It's not a money-intensive mega project that may be difficult to finance, even if those, of course, can be very important. It's about taking the resources and assets we already have and using them better, using them smarter. It's an almost zero-cost regulatory refresh that will free up businesses to do what they do best. Find opportunities and efficiencies that will lower prices for producers and consumers, and create wealth, jobs and growth across the entire economy. And as the logistics industry taps those opportunities, it will create connections and cost savings, not just in individual ASEAN countries, but across ASEAN as a whole, so that benefits are shared across borders. In ASEAN, our research found that those benefits will really stack up. Not only is it a zero-cost enterprise, but we found that adopting the recommendations the OECD makes in fostering competition in ASEAN will effectively give ASEAN's economy a cash injection of at least $4.5 billion a year. And even that estimate is probably on the low side, because it doesn't include the benefits of jobs growth, greater opportunities for SMEs, and more efficient, lower-cost trade between ASEAN member states. And like so much, when it comes to solid, pro-competitive market regulation, all of these benefits compound and reinforce one another, delivering growth, jobs, and wealth in a self-sustaining cycle that will propel ASEAN forward and drive development. And as the members of ASEAN acquire know-how through watching each other's progress, that momentum will continue. Because at the end of the day, creating competition also means fostering learning, trade, and that's what binds ASEAN's fortunes together. I'm Ruben Maximiano, and thank you for watching.
Now watch the video to find out how digital innovation enhances #ASEAN connectivity to capture new growth opportunities.
Sorry about that morning. Some of the graphics in the lower thirds. But anyways, thank you very much, Gila, for keeping me company today, as always.
You're very much welcome, Alma, and thank you also for having me today. That's it, the latest news in the ASEAN region. And join us once again tomorrow here in ASEAN in Focus. This is Gila Pablo, your EBC Thailand correspondent, and we live in interesting times.
We'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same place, here on ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.
Start your day right! Tara na! Simula na ang excitement and happiness kada umaga.
Innovation.